Hello, welcome to the video lesson for multiplying and dividing signed fractions. Go ahead and pause the video and highlight that topic, multiplying and dividing signed fractions, for me. Alright, let's go look at our examples here. First example, it asks us to simplify negative 2/3 times negative 2/5. So what we have to remember is the rule for when we multiply two negative numbers together. And let's check that rule out real quick. So when I multiply two or more negative numbers together, I've got to make sure I have the right number of negatives to get a certain answer. So if I have an even amount of negative numbers, it's going to be a positive answer. So even is as even as in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc. numbers. So here I've got two even numbers, 1, 2. So my answer is going to be positive, and then I just multiply straight across. So I'll have positive 4 over 15. The same holds true for division. If I've got an even amount of negatives, I'm going to have a positive answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remember to perform multiply by the reciprocal, also known as keep change flip. So I'm going to end up with negative 5 over 9 times negative 9 over 1, which gives me positive 45 over 9, and 45 over 9 actually equals 5. They're both divisible by 9. So let's look at the next set of examples. I've got 3/7 times negative 2/3, and it claims I'm going to get a negative answer. But why would I get a negative answer instead of a positive answer? Let's check it out. So if there are an odd amount of negative numbers being multiplied or divided, we're going to have a negative answer. So if we look at our problem here, 3 over 7 times negative 2/3, we're going to multiply straight across and then decide what to do with our negative value. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 7 times 3 is 21. I have one negative value, so that's an odd number. So that means that my answer is going to be negative. Now I need to reduce it if possible. 3 goes into both of these. Which equals 2 over 7. Negative 2 over 7, excuse me. Negative 2/7. And for the bottom, I have division, and the same holds true. An odd amount of negatives creates a negative answer. So here I have one negative. 1 is an odd number. I need to change this to multiplying by the reciprocal. Because it's division, we don't divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So I end up with negative 2/8 times 5 over 4. Which gives me negative 10 over 32, which reduces to negative 5 over 16. These are both reducible by 2. So if there's an even number of negatives, it's a positive answer, an odd number, a negative answer. So let's go look at a couple more examples outside of our space there. Down here I've got letter A, it's negative 1/2 divided by negative 2/3. So for division, I need to remember to change it to multiplication of the reciprocal. So we'll go down here and change that to negative 1/2 times negative 3 over 2. I'm going to go ahead and multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. There's an even number of negatives, so my answer is positive. Over here in part B, I have 7 times negative 1/3, 7/9 times negative 1/3. So I'm going to multiply straight across. 7 times 1, 9 times 3, which will give me 7 over 27. I have one negative, so it's an odd amount of negatives, so my sign is going to be negative. So my answer is negative 7 over 27. And that's as far as it goes. I cannot reduce it any further. Go ahead and work on these guided practice examples with your group mates. For our guided practice examples, here are the solutions. For part A, we had 5/8 divided by -4/9. We've got to perform multiply by the reciprocal. So I end up with 5/8 times -9/4. 5 times 9 is 45. 8 times 4 is 32. I have an odd number of negatives, so it makes my answer negative. Part B, I have -3/8 times -1/3. I just need to multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. 8 times 3 is 24. I have an even number of negatives, so my answer is positive. And so I can reduce this now. They're both divisible by 3, which means 3 divided by 3 is 1. 24 divided by 3 is 8, so my answer is 1/8. Part C, I have -2/5 divided by -7/9. I've got to multiply by the reciprocal, so that ends up being -2/5 times -9/7. When I multiply those together, I end up with 18/35. Even number of negatives means a positive answer. And lastly, for part D, I end up multiplying straight across, so I have 1 times 3 is 3. 8 times 5 is 8 times 5 is 40 for 3/40, and I have 1 negative, so it's an odd number of negatives, so that means my answer is negative. Remember, count your number of negative values and multiply straight across, or multiply by the reciprocal and reduce when necessary.